Hello, you incredible friends. Edwards here speaking. I just want to reach out to you winners and say happy Monday. I hope life is just incredible for you and bless your amazing hearts. And I'm actually around home today, not going anywhere today or doing anything too exciting. I'm flying to Brisbane this week though, but I just want to say firstly, please excuse the wind. It just picks up all the time. And as well, my friends, I could get rained on at any time. So stay tuned for that one if you want to see me get wet. Anyway, friends, I've been thinking about this video over the weekend. I've had a lot of you legendary winners talk to me about basically boundaries and people disrespecting you and that sort of thing. Now, again, I say this all the time. If you're watching my videos or any of my content, this is not aimed at you, but I deal with people all the time that in some way disrespect me or disrespect my family's boundaries or my own boundaries. And I'm quite used to this topic, actually. I deal with a lot of toxic people in what I do. Actually, not as many as I used to, but quite a few. And I've learned a lot about toxic people and a lot about boundaries and that sort of thing. And here's one of the biggest things I want to share to you legendary people about A, what a boundary is, and B, what happens when someone sort of treads you, disrespects you, and pushes your boundaries. A boundary, as the word implies, is basically your line is where, you know, people might annoy you up to that point, but the boundary is the point where you sort of push back on people and say, nah, you can't do that, you can't do that sort of thing. Good metaphor I like to describe the boundary is if someone's asking for a donation. Let's say there's a charity that you like in the street and they ask you for $1, $5, $10. You might agree to it. The moment they say $50, you might go, whoa, that's an example of one's boundary. They can ask for a little bit and it's okay, but when they hit that boundary, you get that reflex reaction. Now, here's my big thing, and here's my two parts of advice here. If someone, not if, when someone disrespects your boundaries, there's sort of two scenarios or sort of pathways, I suppose, that play out. Firstly, if I don't really know the person or there's some random, I just tend to ignore them or block them or delete them. So if someone's trolling me on a platform or it's just some random, I'll just block them, delete them. I'm not too worried about that at all. And it's a pretty straight, easy decision. If someone you don't know is trolling you or giving you a hard time, just block and delete them and forget about them. There's no point in even worrying about just a random character like that. Now, the second pathway is more the interesting part. These are people you already know. You might already be friends with these people who are like, either they've changed, you've changed, or whatever reason, you've got a conflict of some form. Now, excuse the wind, by the way, it always picks up, and believe it or not, the actual sun's come out a little bit, so I may not get rained on. But here's my big thoughts and advice to you on dealing with that scenario. Firstly, let's say it's someone you know, right? And you want to, at the end of the day, you don't want to block this person just yet. You want to try and maintain the relationship. Here's my advice to you. Ignore it at the start, right? Just ignore it. Don't acknowledge it. And that might be a good move. And I find that actually ignoring it usually solves a lot of situations. What you might also do as well is you might also emotionally pull back a bit from that person, because quite often if someone's sort of more savvy and more emotionally aware, they can tell when you're annoyed, they can tell when you pull back emotionally. So if someone, starts annoying me or pushing my boundaries and it's not too egregious, I'll just sort of back off on them, I'll ignore them. I'll be more professional and less friendly if you follow my logic. I might even give them the cold shoulder if they go too far. That's a good place to start. So, and I find half the time that actually works. People kind of get the message that they're treating you in the wrong way and they naturally start respecting you. Now, for the other half of situations where they just keep going and going and going, what I like to do is that I like to actually sort of say to people, hey, look, please stop saying this to such and such, or you may not want to do this, or I'm not a big fan of such and such. And that's usually what happens when I start bringing up. Now, two things happen in this scenario. This is where it gets really interesting. If someone's really, really a toxic character, they'll do what's called doubling down on you. Like, they won't apologize. They'll say, what? You know what? I'm going to do more of this. What? How dare you say that to me? That's what a toxic person will do. And quite often, people who push your boundaries are usually toxic people. So a toxic person could even declare war on you. They could go crazy on you. So you got to be careful this is like your boss or something, because toxic people who are in love with themselves, they're narcissists, they don't like anything like this. They'll just totally turn on you. So just keep that in mind. This is a bit of a warning red flag there, okay? The other point I want to make is if someone's more of a normal person like you and me and a nurturing character, they'll listen to you and say, oh, sorry about that. I'll won't do that again, or I'll appreciate you. And you know what? I've done this too. I've pushed other people's boundaries. They say, hey, Ed, back off on this issue. And you know what I find? Be it you're the one doing it or someone's done it to you, if you're both reasonable people and you apologize to each other, you actually become better friends at the end of it. And that's been my lesson too. So in other words, that's what I'm basically saying. If you have a conflict with a friend or something and you actually resolve that conflict beautifully, you're actually better friends than what you were before it, because you know that you two guys have a disagreement, you'll get along anyways, which is what I really like. But be careful of the toxic people. The toxic people can often absolutely go crazy because they're often a toxic narcissist mind. They're awesome, they do nothing wrong, and you're the problem. So if you bring up something, it's your issue, and they might even turn on you. So just be wary on toxic people. And usually when you bring up a boundary issue, you'll know within the next 20 seconds whether that person is a nurturing or toxic person. I've had people do that. I've had people sort of apologize to me for the moment. Then the next day they, they go to bed and they think, you know what? I'm awesome. How dare Edward's ear or whoever say I'm wrong, and they just declare war on you. So a few things to keep in mind. And friends, these are my thoughts on dealing with boundaries and people who disrespect you. Let me know what you think. Please hit that like, hit that share, leave a comment. Love to hear your thoughts. And by the way, I love LinkedIn and really appreciate you. And also too, we've got our mastery workshop on Saturday if you want to come. And also we've got our influencer program more. I'll leave a link to my website in the comments, so feel free to check it out. Thank you again. Bless your amazing hearts. Make sure you follow Lassie as well. And please have a great day and message me anytime you want. Max Love winners, and talk to you all soon.